Welcome to Besiege Bots, the real home of robotic combat in Besiege. In this episode, we begin the Beetleweight bracket preliminaries. Beetleweights are our smallest weight class in Besiege Bots and are usually dominated by control bots. The last Beetleweight tournament was won by Team Archaon, who unfortunately will not be attending this year, but this opens the door for last year's runners-up, Team Mistakes Were Made, to come in as the early favourites. Kicking things off, we have a rumble with three very dangerous spinners in what promises to be one of the most explosive matchups this weight class may ever see. Then, later in the main event of this episode, Team Mistakes Were Made will be battling it out with one of our rookie teams and fellow UK team, Team Pilot Light, who are bringing their own returning bot from Beetleweight Bash. Our first Beetleweight competitor for this year's competition is CG3PT from Sweden's Team Yidior. CG3PT has a powerful bar spinner and won the most destructive award for Beetleweight Bash. It is capable of dishing out surprising damage, which is rare in this weight class. Next up, we have Just the Tip from Style and Substance Robotics representing Australia. Just the Tip has a semi-full body spinner design, and while not the most damaging spinner, it is incredibly reliable as the spinner cannot cause enough stress to damage its own frame. Finally in this all-spinner rumble, we have Manny the Lizard from the Netherlands, created by the team Scaly Overlords. Manny has a powerful spinner, but its short reach combined with its somewhat frail back chassis connections could spell trouble in this match against two fellow spinners. We kick things off in episode 2 with this fight between three powerful spinners, the most powerful of which is probably CG3PT, then Manny, and then I'd say Just the Tip is the least powerful, but it's also probably the most reliable as CG3 goes very close to the pit and may have gone over the wall. No, they're still in. It's Just the Tips and laps Manny across the arena. Just the Tip's also quite heavy. It uses a lot of water cannons to weigh down the relatively small chassis, so it doesn't bounce very far on hits, but its weakness is that it's very, very slow. So the other bots are going to score a lot of aggression by targeting each other as CG3 almost goes over the wall again. We saw Team Yidior in episode 1 winning through in their super heavyweight preliminary round, which was great for them. We also saw Style and Substance Robotics losing in the preliminary round. We didn't see the Scaly Overlords. They're a fresh team. Not rookies, but I believe this is only their second tournament. They don't enter many tournaments. But Style and Substance Robotics, they're pretty happy with this bot and think it could be their best bot that they've entered yet. I think their best finish was... Ooh, as CG3 goes out the pit on a hit on Manny. That's really going to open this up, because Just the Tip, I know the driver of Style and Substance Robotics did a few tests with CG3, and they were able to snipe the chassis out from under the shell a couple times. So that's definitely big for them, but Manny's also an undercutter, but it has a bit less reach, so we'll see if Manny's able to do the same thing, but Manny loses its spinner on that hit. This is huge for Just the Tip. It will almost certainly win this rumble, because it doesn't really bounce itself around too much on hits either, so it's unlikely to bounce itself into the pit. Manny continues driving in, showing good aggression there. Just the Tip getting caught up on the ramrods. Bit greedy to not spin down at all during that, but I think they have a bit of trouble self-riding if they get flipped, so it might have been for the best. Manny gets hit up there. Manny trying to kind of self-ride on the wall, and Manny gets a wheel ripped off. It's landed in an awkward position. It's trying to crab walk out of the corner. No, and... Oh, I think Manny's stuck like that. It's trying to rock itself down, but I don't think it can. It looks like Just the Tip's gonna win by pit and KO, and seems Manny's been counted out, and that's exactly what's happened. Just the Tip moves into the round of 16, winning by pit and KO, and Manny and CG3 will have to fight back through the redemption round. Disgust 3 is an undercutter that has a few different configurations from the USA's Team Locrian. A team known for highly competitive designs, Disgust is no different with its multiple configurations and could be a real problem for the rest of the field. Second in this one is Lil Spook from Team Angry American, who are of course from the United States. Lil Spook will want to show off the power of their weapon to prove themselves a contender in this rumble by taking out two of our other veteran teams. Finally, also from the USA, we have Mutant, an interesting creation from Team Nightslash. Mutant has a spinner that is capable of minor actuation, so it can aim lower or higher on their opponents. It also uses this capability to self-right. On away with fight number 2 now, as the contestants take a little bit of time hesitating before they all come out of their corners. We have our second all-spinner rumble in the Beetleweight division. We have two fairly similar bots with Little Spook and Disgust. I'd say Disgust's chassis is a little more durable than Little Spook, but they both have decently durable chassis for Beetleweight undercutters, as Mutant is struggling to get back over. You gotta be careful they don't get counted out, but they get back over just in time as Little Spook loses one of those wheel struts. I was just saying they're slightly more durable than most undercutter chassis at this weight class, but off that goes. I think it was actually Disgust throwing it into the wall that broke it. Oh, and Disgust gets a wheel sniped off by Mutant. Mutant got that diagonal bar spinner thing going on. It can also kind of adjust the height of its wheels, I think, which is how it self-rights. It basically pushes its own wheels into its spinner to self-right. So we got 3 teams in this, 3 American teams. Team Locrian, who have generally been a pretty strong team, and then Team Nightslash and Team Angry American, who largely haven't had great results at tournaments. They have some interesting machines here. Mutant definitely probably the most interesting of these 3, but Lil Spook and Disgust are pretty well built machines. Pretty powerful spinners for this weight class, to be honest. While Mutant is not very powerful, it has a pretty weak motor comparatively. Ooh, Mutant lining up a hit, but just kind of gets hit from that backside of Disgust. That's why Disgust's chassis is quite interesting, because if you get behind Little Spook, you can hit that back chassis, whereas Disgust has this wide area where it can actually hit other bots that sneak up on it. But this fight's turned into a bit of a slogfest, as Disgust and Little Spook are having a lot of trouble driving. Oh, Mutant gets a wheel ripped off there by Disgust. Yeah, it was one of those little front wheels that can adjust the height, which is, again, how it self-rights. Team Nightslash in a pretty good position, though, as they'll at least be even on damage, probably, with Disgust, because Disgust did the damage to Little Spook, but they ripped a wheel off of Disgust as well. But they're also able to be more aggressive, and they're getting a decent amount of control on the other bots by just kind of sneaking in behind the 2 bots that are having trouble driving and getting hits on them. It's not the prettiest way to win, but it is effective, so I'm definitely happy for them if they can pull off this win. It'd be good to see them get some more tournament success. Little Spook and Disgust smartly there actually backs into Mutant to get them away before they try and attack Little Spook. Actually, they seem to be backing up a lot now. It might just be easier for them to drive like that. It definitely seems easier for them to drive backwards. They definitely seem to be picking up more speed. As Mutant turns its spinner off, they're having a bit of trouble there. Maybe some controller issues there, but they seem to be back in it. Little Spook's just off in the corner trying to build up some momentum to get back over to where the fight's happening. We're coming close to the end here. What was that? It was a wheel? I think it was the wheel of Little Spook that got broken off earlier, got thrown around. And that's time. We'll see how the judges saw it. And it's 20 to 17 to 8 in favor of Mutant, winning on aggression and control, but losing out on damage, but also winning style for that one self-right at the last second. So Mutant wins by judgment. Disgust and Little Spook go into the redemption round. First up in fight number 3, we have Brown Recluse, a lifter bot from Team 10-0, formerly Team Creative Name, who represent the USA. Team 10-0 have been on a hiatus from Besiege bots since SBC 2019, so it'll be interesting to see what they bring to the table in this match. Got Plate comes to us from the Netherlands, Ram Bam Robotics. Got Plate is an extremely fast and fairly maneuverable bot that is designed to slam into spinner bots as hard as possible. Up against fellow control bot and one spinner here, they will have a clear target in this fight. Finally, we come to our final entrant in this one, Omocha, built by the Gyro Boys from the UK. It has likely the largest weapon in the weight class, however due to this, the chassis is incredibly frail and the weapon is prone to explosions. Fight number 3 of episode 2 as Got Plate just slams into Omocha right away. Very fast start from Got Plate. Brown Recluse getting in on it. Good push there from Got Plate. Got Plate has those little spikes on top that kind of help it to control bots when it gets under them. Makes it a bit harder for them to just fall off or over the ledge. Omocha having a lot of trouble staying upright. It wheelies a lot, it gyros a lot. The spinner is a good 80% of its block count. While that is interesting, it's not very good because it doesn't spin very fast. And while it can throw other bots quite high, it doesn't deal a whole lot of damage. Which obviously is a bit of a problem when you're a spinner where all of your block count is in the weapon. It also only has a single connection that's holding the two sides together, and if it breaks, it won't be KO'd instantly, but it makes the bot incredibly difficult to drive. Got Plate is just slamming everything around now. It's really just Got Plate and Brown Recluse taking turns to flip Omocha and then trying to get control of each other. I think so far Got Plate's gotten the better of the exchanges, but Brown Recluse is... Ooh, gets hit by Omocha there. It didn't even get thrown very high, so... The one thing I said about Omocha hasn't even been true yet. The one time it got a hit, it didn't throw anything very high. Brown Recluse manages to get off that plate, the rotating plate there, rather than Got Plate. I understand that could be confusing. Ooh, good slam from Got Plate. Slamming Brown Recluse into the wall there. Brown Recluse trying to get some flips. Got Plate gets under. Brown Recluse needs to pay more attention to Got Plate, which is the much faster opponent than Omocha. They're trying to get these flips on Omocha, it's just not working out for them. I think they'll have a better shot if they go in with their middle lifter prongs already up. They probably will out-wedge if they do that, because having extra wedge on the floor is good for controlling your opponents, but just with the way Besiege's physics work, it makes it harder to actually get under your opponent at times. Oh, Got Plate lost a wheel, I believe either on a hit from the wall, and Omocha's weapon, I think, broke when it hit the floor just there. Yeah, you can see a big chunk of that disc is missing, which is going to make it even harder to drive, because the weapon is now bouncing. Got Plate pushing Brown Recluse into the wall, but Brown Recluse got a lift there, I think. It's a very odd fight so far. Got Plate was definitely dominating the early stages, but Brown Recluse, now against two fairly damaged opponents, should have a good shot at being able to get a lot more control points, as they get a really good push onto Got Plate and pin them into the corner. Got Plate trying to flip its way out, and it does, but it gets stuck upside down, but it manages to keep moving, so they won't be counted out, as Brown Recluse inadvertently, I think, flipped them back over there. Omocha really hasn't moved from this spot for about 30 or 40 seconds, and they get pushed behind the ramrods by Brown Recluse, and they end up bouncing themselves out, probably by hitting the wall. No arena flipper in the Beetleweight arena, so Brown Recluse pushing them over near the secondary pit corner. More good pushes. Brown Recluse has definitely controlled the later stages of this fight, but I'd say the first 2.5 minutes were pretty much all Got Plate, so it'll be interesting to see how the judges see this. And that's the end of the fight. We'll see how the judges saw it. A 21 to 19 to 5 in favor of Got Plate. So Got Plate winning on aggression and control, but losing out on damage and going even on style with Omocha. So Got Plate wins the judgment. Ground, Recluse, and Omocha will head into the redemption round. First up, from last year's Beetleweight Bash, runners-up Team Mistakes Were Made, who represent the UK, we have Chromatic Aberration. Chromatic Aberration is not the bot that made it to the finals last year, but with Team Mistakes Were Made behind it, it could be one to watch out for. Splatter comes to us from one of our two rookie teams this tournament, Team Pain Squared from the USA. Splatter is a hard-hitting double vertical spinner that can launch opponents sky high, but it has problems with maneuverability that could cost it in this matchup. Melvin is a lifter bot with a very low design from Team Pilot Light representing the UK. Melvin had a disappointing run in Beetleweight Bash, crashing out at 0-2, but Team Pilot Light are back with a vengeance this time, doing a complete overhaul of the bot and hope to get a finish more reflective of their ranked record. And now we go into the main event of episode 2, as we have three bots that are very different. Obviously, we have a horizontal spinner, an undercutter in Chromatic Aberration, we have a very low profile control bot in Melvin, and we have a vertical spinner in Splatter. Splatter from one of our two rookie teams who competed in episode 1, Team Pain Squared, weren't able to pick up the win in that match, but it was probably the closest fight of episode 1, a very close three-way judgment. Splatter, probably not as good as Unholy, but it has a lot of power if it can land a hit, but it's just gonna probably struggle to land hits on Melvin because it is so low, and even if it hits Melvin, it's probably gonna throw itself just because of the geometry of Melvin. Melvin putting that lifter up to give them more wedging ability so that their wedge doesn't get caught under things, because they still have an even lower wedge underneath the main lifter wedge. Chromatic Aberration is struggling in this one. They're kind of just driving around and getting flipped. Melvin really just heavily in control of this fight so far. Yeah, three good... Well, obviously one rookie team, and then we have Team Pilot Light, who are the top team on the ranked leaderboard, and then Team Mistakes Were Made, who were the runners-up at the last Beetleweight tournament, not with this bot, but with their bot that will be featured in episode 4. Chromatic Aberration, I think, actually has a defect where the spinner isn't spinning as fast as it should be, but they weren't able to get it working before the tournament started, unfortunately. So they're kind of stuck with it as is, as they get flipped over there from Melvin kind of pushing them into Splatter. As we see, Splatter can land big hits when it can land them. Oh, it lands on top of Chromatic and almost shoots it out of the pit. That would have been really good for Splatter. They probably would have got the KO points there. And they probably need to KO Chromatic Aberration if they're going to hope to win the decision over Melvin, because they're going to need all the damage they can get. Nice little hit on the side of Melvin there, but like I said, they threw themselves further than they threw Melvin, as they get tipped up and bounce off the floor yet again. Melvin just really in control. Melvin is probably one of the early favorites to win this tournament. It's been really dominant in ranked and in testing. I think something like a 20-2 ranked record, which has not really helped Team Pilot Light in the past. They have bots in the top of most weight classes, but generally haven't had success at tournaments. I think their best placing is top 16 with higher at their last one. Splatter gets a nice hit on Chromatic and breaks one of those wheel struts off. So that's going to be some good damage for them. If they can break the other one off, they'll probably KO Chromatic Aberration. But Melvin doesn't want to let that happen. They have to turn the weapon off there in case they would have bounced themselves out. I think Melvin actually almost got flipped on that kind of weird hit from Splatter there. This has just been all Melvin, and then a couple good hits from Splatter, but Chromatic has done absolutely nothing. which is unfortunate for team mistakes were made. They didn't notice the defect in time, so their spinner really just doesn't hit as hard as it should, as they kind of ramp themselves off the side of Melvin and almost Uda themselves there. That would have been very unfortunate. But 8 seconds left in this one. I think it's going to go to Melvin, but maybe the damage could swing it closer than expected to Splatter. We'll see how the judges see it. And I'm expecting Melvin. Yeah, 21 to 15 to 9 in favor of Melvin. I'm surprised Chromatic got as many points as it did. I suppose it didn't do nothing, but it wasn't doing a whole lot. So Melvin moves into the round of 16, while Splatter and Chromatic Aberration go into the redemption round. That's it for this episode. Our 4 bots heading into the round of 16 are just the tip. Mutant, Got Plate, and Melvin. Meanwhile, getting a second chance in the redemption round are CG3PT, Manny the Lizard, Disgust 3, Lil Spook, Brown Recluse, Omocha, Chromatic Aberration, and Splatter. In the next episode, we'll complete the Super Heavyweight Bracket preliminaries. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, please leave a like, comment, and consider subscribing. If you're interested in joining our community, follow the Discord link in the description. From everyone in the Besiege Bots Discord, have a fantastic day, and we'll see you soon.